I started comedy in New York, and not in mainstream clubs. I started in these hood rooms, in the hood, and I learned a lot of very valuable lessons in those rooms. A lot of times, when you dealt with these independent promoters in these hood rooms, there would be financial discrepancies when it came time to get paid. And it often went like this: you would do the show, then you would go to get your agreed upon amount, and you couldn't find the promoter anywhere. And finally, you would find him, and he would start a speech that would be like, my man, see, what happened was a situation with the budget. See, now, the DJ, what I'm going to do, though, I'm going to hit you off with a portion. And once you heard that, you knew that it was a financial discrepancy that had to be addressed somehow. And on more than a few occasions, I saw comedians, like, once you start hearing that speech, pull out a gun, and suddenly there was magically no issue with the budget. You get paid, everybody get paid, and, there was a cash infusion from somewhere that happened. I always remembered that, right? So I started working in the mainstream rooms and everything, and I started... I got a manager. I started working with a manager, and he handled a lot of great comics, and he was a very charismatic guy. And on one hand, many felt that he was instrumental in building these comedians' careers, but on the other hand, there were always situations with the money. Always situations with the money with this guy. Now, call this guy Larry Shats, right? Larry Shats of Larry Shats Enterprises. So I'm working with Larry Shats. And the thing about one of Larry Shats's greatest gifts was this ability that he had. It was almost like he would hypnotize you with his eyes, man. He'd be like, "Hey, Papa, what's going on, man? What's the problem? You look unhappy with me. You look upset, man." And he would do this when you came in to confront him to get your money. It was like you would get hypnotized, and you would leave the office with no money, feeling like you owed him money. I'd never experienced that with any human being before, like that gift. We called it getting shatsified. So I have a couple of colleges that I've done through Larry that I have not been paid for like 6 months, right? And I call, and it's like, "Hey, Pop, I don't know what's going on. We'll have to check with bookkeeping, man. Or, see what the back cycle is on." Telling me that they haven't been paid. Well, I call the schools. I get in touch with whoever booked us and everything, and they said, "Well, we paid you the day of the gig." And one school actually had paid Larry before the gig, a week before, and they sent me Xeroxes of the checks that had been deposited and everything. So now I'm livid. Now I'm angry. I'm walking around, the way Captain Ahab was walking around talking about mumbling to himself with his peg leg, walking around mumbling about Moby Dick. I'm walking around, like Larry Shats in the apartment. I'm walking around, I'm gonna fuck Larry Shats up, man. And my wife's like, you gotta chill out. You can't go assault somebody in their office. You're gonna get locked up again. You gotta have a better, more coherent plan. There's other ways to do it. So I'm thinking, and I'm remembering in those hood rooms, comedians pulling out a gun, getting paid. I'm like, that's what I need to do. I need to get a gun, but I don't have a gun. I'm like, well, who do I know? But it's not like, you're borrowing a cup of sugar. I can't, I'm like, no one's gonna, where am I gonna? So I'm thinking about and I'm watching some documentary about some guys who broke out of Alcatraz or something using old school document, using a gun made out of a bar of soap. I'm like, boom, that's what I need to do. And there's a Hasidic hobby shop by us. I'm like, instead of soap, I'll use something more durable like clay. So I go to the hobby shop, yidle deedle diddle. I get the, talk to Moisha. I get the clay. I make a fucking, I get some black paint and I make like a Glock, a very realistic looking Glock. I spend all day. I'm carving it with a fork and a butter knife, and I'm painting it, putting it in the oven. And on one side it looks very realistic, okay, but the other side, there must have been an air bubble in it when I baked it in the oven. And it, I'm not a potter, a clay worker, and I don't know the nuances of clay working, and it created this like depression, it there was like a dip in it, kind of like it looked like the gun. When those power lifters do a squat and it's a little too much weight, and they have an anal prolapse and blow out their rectum, like it's gone, and that's kind of what this looked like, kind of like a blown out rectum with a cauliflower ear. It looked really bad, So I'm like, well, I just won't use that side. I'll just flip it over and use the other side. He'll just see the other side. I'll keep it, kind of out of his vision, just a little bit, sees just enough of it. You only need to see a little bit of a gun. So I got my plan. So I got my preparation H pistol. I go up to his office. The receptionist is there. I'm like, you can't go. I need to see Larry right now. I got business with Larry. I walk in, and he starts out, hey, Papa, man, what's going on? You're on fire. You look up, and I'm like, Larry, I need my money. And I put the gun down. I don't want to look in his eyes. It's like, don't look in its eyes, because I don't want to get hypnotized by him. So I'm looking at the floor. I need my money. And I see out of the corner of his eye, he looks over at the gun. He looks at me, and he's like, well, thanks for the gift, man, but I don't smoke. I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, that ashtray thing over there. I mean, that's nice, but I'm not going to use it. And I had put the good side down and the preparation H side up by accident, because I wasn't looking. So that throws a wrench in my whole plan of being menacing, to Larry. So, I'm kind of recalibrating things. But as I'm doing that, I'm saying, well, Larry, I'm here for my money. He starts in, with the eyes, hey, man, let me tell you something. Let me tell you why you're not bigger than you are. You're not as big as you should be, man. And it's like this Achilles tendon for any comedian. Why you're not bigger? And he's like, you know why? Because you're chasing shekels, man. You're not looking at the big picture, man. And then he starts, he's like, let me tell you what Steven Spielberg told me, man. I'm like, Steven Spielberg? Yeah, man. He told me your life is like a movie, man, that you direct, you write, and you star in, man. Now, do you want that movie to be a blockbuster, or do you want it to be like some NYU student film about a guy in a black turtleneck, chain smoking clove cigarettes and thinking about suicide while he's in a bathtub in Prague, man? And it's just blowing my mind. I'm like, I don't want my career to be a guy chain smoking cigarettes in Prague thinking about suicide. Let me tell you something else Jeffrey Katzenberg also told me. Like, wait, didn't you just say Steven Spielberg? Maybe I did, man. But at that level, it's all the same fucking guy. So now, it's Katzenberg, Spielberg, clove cigarettes. The door opens to his office. It's the receptionist. She's like, Larry, Quincy Jones is on the phone. Quincy Jones, pardon me, man. I hope you're not going to be offended if I take this call from Quincy Jones, man. But when I do, I want you to listen, and I want you to think about one word, man. Serendipity. Let that sink in, man. So I'm like, serendipity, Quincy Jones. He gets on the phone. Quincy, man, you'll never guess who I have in my office. Remember that guy I was telling you about that's on fire, man? And he starts like pitching me to Quincy Jones, but he's kind of pitching me and kind of shitting on me at the same time. Yeah, man, he's like a Jimmy Smits that no one's ever heard of. You know what I mean? He's like a John Leguizamo, but not like half a Fagala. He's like a Jeff Goldblum, but not so Jewy, man. He's a white guy. He goes up there, he does Puerto Rican accents and Jamaican characters and Chinese characters for all black audiences, man. And when he gets off stage, everybody looks around and goes, what the fuck just happened, man? So I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. He's talking about and I know you got a pilot that you're working on. This guy would be great. So he's pitching me for this pilot after this description of what I do, and I'm like, let me just back out of this office. I don't want to jeopardize this Quincy Jones thing, and let me just think here. And I'm backing out of the office while he's on the phone, and get to the elevator. I'm about to go down. I look over, and I see he hangs up the phone. I see the receptionist hang up the phone at the exact same time, and I make a mental note of that. I'm like, but there's something, and I'm going home, and I get home, and my wife says, did you get the money? And I said, no, I didn't get the money. And she said, well, what happened? Did he do the eyes? I'm like, yeah, he did the eyes. He did the eyes on me. And I go, but I did learn something very important. And she said, well, what is that? And I said, Quincy Jones and Larry's receptionist are the same fucking guy, man.